Orangutans. They're beautiful, playful, and majestic, and disappearing. Every day, as many as 20 orangutans vanish. They starve to death when their homes are destroyed or are killed when they stray into villages in search of food. International Animal Rescue is fighting for the survival of the critically endangered orangutan, but we can't do it without you. Please visit internationalanimalrescue.org and help us save orangutans before it's too late. That's internationalanimalrescue.org.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool.
Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Hey kids, do you like wrestling? Well, we like wrestling too. We are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Myself and Chris Novembrino kind of doing a lazy river of wrestling criticism, going through the news and whatever happened in stateside television wrestling. And also, you know what? Sometimes we just like to watch old stuff and talk about that too. Love for you to give us a listen. If you haven't already, we are Shake Them Ropes here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
Hello, Voices of Wrestling listener. Dave Ryan here. Have you ever wondered to yourself how many hidden gems are hidden away inside the last years of World Championship Wrestling? Have you ever asked yourself how many tenuous gags can be made about the name Mike Enos? And have you ever thought about what it sounds like for two Irishmen to interpret a very chaotic company through its B-show? The answers to all this and more are just a click away. Check out Days of Thunder every second Thursday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey kids, do you like professional wrestling? Well, we like professional wrestling too. This is Shake Them Ropes. I'm Jeff Hawkins. He is Chris Novembrino. I have just relayed to Chris my sports ball tragedy. Yes, Virginia lost. Please get out of my DMs mocking me. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I didn't say, I wasn't about to say anything.
No, it sounded like you're taking a breath to get ready to go.
No. I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah,
Jeff. Every day with you is a day with sunshine.
Wow. Okay. Well, Chris and I are both music geeks, so I am going to talk about this. Attention must be paid. Jim Gordon. One of the most fascinating figures, and not fascinating necessarily in a good way in some ways. One of the most fascinating drummers in rock history, passing away at the age of 71, I believe it was. It was either 71 or 77. Jim Gordon, I asked Chris if the names sounded familiar. No, I didn't. I asked Jeff Gaylord. Is Jim Gordon a familiar name to you?
Other than the commissioner for Batman, no.
And everybody thinks that. No. Jim Gordon was a jazz drummer in his teens who got discovered by a member of the Wrecking Crew, and then went on to play on a lot of the great classic rock hits of the 60s and 70s. He was a member of Traffic for a while. He co-wrote Rock and Roll Stew. His possibly most famous contribution is he is credited with writing the piano coda to Layla.
Okay, but that's also kind of a lift from another song too.
Well, the story is that he stole it from his ex-girlfriend Rita Coolidge, who he famously punched in a hallway during the Mad Dogs and Englishmen tour when he was touring with Joe Cocker, and he was part of the Shelter People. I forget the name of the piano player for them, but it's on the tip of my tongue, and I have one of his albums. I can't think of it right now. Leon Russell. He is part of Leon Russell and the Shelter People. He played. He also played with Steely Dan on Ricky Don't Lose That Number for Pretzel Logic. He played on Pet Sounds, and a bunch more. And then in 1983, bludgeoned his mother to death with a hammer because he went schizophrenic due to all his drug use he had been doing as a teen and in his 20s. He is a fascinating character because he also rejected any attempts to parole himself. He said, "Nope, I'm staying in this mental hospital forever," and did pass away there. Never gave many interviews. He gave one, but he wouldn't talk about really anything. Part of Delaney and Bramlett, part of Eric Clapton's crew. He played in the background, or he was part of the session band for All Things Must Pass, the George Harrison album. He is on like everything because he would like come in and do like 3 or 4 sessions a day and then fly out to Vegas to do a residency at Caesar's Palace with, I forget what band he was with there, but I mean, he was just all over the place, and he would keep his energy up by doing like copious amount of drugs, which then made him schizophrenic. But yeah, no, the story about Layla was that he was dating Rita Coolidge, and she played this song called Time or something like that for him, and then he lifted that and put it on the end of Layla and got credit for it.
Yeah, I've definitely heard the Rita Coolidge part of this, like that, like basically, like that was just like more or less a lift.
Yeah, so
and it makes sense because it really does sort of come out of nowhere in the song too.
Like I loved his drumming though. His drumming on especially the Mad Dogs and Englishmen sessions for Joe Cocker. I mean, he's just a badass. But he was also a terrible, terrible human being. So if you want to read about one of the more fascinating people in classic rock history, Jim Gordon is it. He is dead. Also, just starting off the news, Jeff Gaylord passed away. Jeff Gaylord is interesting in my fandom, Chris, because he was he started in the mid 80s and went to about the early 90s. He was in World Class. He was in UWF as a job guy.
The name rings a bell, but I just can't.
Here's why it might ring a bell. The 1993 Survivor Series, the one that originally had Jerry Lawler and his Knights. He was the Black Knight.
Okay. Yep.
That Survivor Series. Oh, let's talk fascinating, but not necessarily in a positive way. Jerry Lawler indicted, or at least accused. I can't remember if it was indicted or accused of raping and sodomizing a girl who was between the ages of 13 and 15.
Oh.
And also witness intimidation. Charges later dropped, I believe. But yeah, and Shawn Michaels took his place, and so it was Shawn Michaels and the Knights. And the Knights were Barry Horowitz, Greg Valentine, and Jeff Gaylord. Jeff Gaylord was a former University of Missouri football player. And he was big in World Class. That's where he got his push. He had minor push in the USWA as a tag champ with Jeff Jarrett, who we'll talk about later, definitely. He had his place in World Class, and I just remember he had the worst match I think I've ever seen in that company. I can't remember if it's that company or if it's another one. Might have been the old American Wrestling Federation, but he was a number one, big steroid guy, number two, ex-football player. So they did a match without ropes, where he dressed in football pads, and it was kind of like a sumo match where he had to knock a guy off the platform in order to win. Just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Let me tell you about the mental capacity of one Jeff Gaylord, and I hate to speak ill of the dead, but he is somebody who probably should be spoken ill of. After his wrestling career, he started robbing banks. And he
How'd that go for him, though?
It didn't go well because you know what else he did? He robbed the same bank twice.
Oh, that's so dumb because, like, of course, banks are where all the money is.
Banks are where the money is, but if you are 6'5"
robbed
and on steroids,
you've robbed once. There's no money left.
Well, not just that. You tend to be not nondescript at 6'7", 285 pounds, or whatever he was. It's like, oh yeah, that's Jeff Gaylord. He's a former football player that lives in town.
I mean, there's only so many people who are 6'7", you know?
Oh, but he got chances everywhere. He got chances in the UWF for a while, at the end of that Bill Watts run. I can't remember if he teamed with Sting or if he was on the other side of a match with Sting, but you'd think he was going to be a guy, and then he just didn't really have a lot of, he had 2 left feet, which is part of the problem. I mean, you watch that 93 Survivor Series, and
Is he one of these guys who can't, like, run off the ropes?
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those guys from that era. They just had, like, no mobility like that, and you'd see it anytime they take an Irish whip.
Right, and he was robbing banks for his drug habit mostly. So yeah, the less said about Jeff Gaylord, the better. But I thought,
Yeah, no, it's a shame. A lot of people used to rob banks for the passion and the art of it.
Where's the art anymore? Yeah, now it's all about the commerce.
The art value is completely gone from bank robbery.
Thomas Crown, he did robberies for the art of it, and that's
Yeah.
but these bank robbers today, they're just in it for the money.
Yeah, they're just trying to do it for money and drugs. It's sad.
AEW announced this week that they are going to be doing a 5-week excursion in Canada, starting with the June 25th pay-per-view at Scotiabank Center in Toronto, Forbidden Door 2, which I would assume is another pay-per-view crossover with New Japan. After that, they'll be doing Dynamite and Rampage from Hamilton, Ontario, Dynamite and Rampage from Edmonton, Dynamite from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Rampage from Regina, Saskatchewan, and then a house show, AEW House Rules, live at Saddle Dome as part of Canada's iconic annual cultural event, Calgary Stampede in Calgary, dramatic pause, Alberta, Canada. Those tickets go on sale for the Calgary show, Friday, March 17th. So, after watching that Winnipeg show, and I thought the Winnipeg crowd was hot, and they were, for lack of a better term, I thought that the Winnipeg crowd really wanted to show AEW that they were a lively crowd. So they were up all night for that Dynamite. They're going to run Canada quite a lot, kind of like they've been doing with Texas and Florida in the past, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad strategy. I think, especially as you're launching new angles, starting in a place where you're going to get good crowd response gives those angles the best chance to succeed longer term. 5 weeks seems a bit excessive.
It does.
Yeah, that's the part that sort of makes me go, I don't know about that. 3 seems like a magic number for something like this.
Nice Schoolhouse Rock reference. I'm proud.
You like that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Updating a report from Monday, Dave Meltzer believes the final numbers for the AEW Revolution pay-per-view will be in the range of the low to mid 130,000s as quote unquote late buys were strong.
It's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, look, their weekly Rampage audience is around 900,000, 950,000. So 130,000 is not terrible in terms of conversion rate.
Yeah, and that's the news I have because I don't have a lot on ratings. It looked like Raw was in the 1.7 million range. SmackDown did another strong number again. I don't have the numbers for Dynamite yet, but some weeks are light news, Chris. So we'll close up the mailbag, the news desk, and get to the lazy river of wrestling criticism. Whatever we watched, whatever crosses our mind, whatever just past, present, future wrestling. We'll talk about here. Chris, I will let you start this week.
Man, it is kind of a weird week. I guess, okay, we'll start with the 4 Pillar segment on Dynamite here.
Yes.
The rebar mitzvah. Real opportunity missed to not have lots of rebar surrounding the ring on all sides, as in the reinforcement bars. But beyond that, I liked when the 4 Pillars came out, and thought in particular Sammy Guevara was really strong, out of everyone. If anything, Sammy Guevara sort of outshined the 2 baby faces on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
And once again made me go like, how did we miss so badly with turning Sammy Guevara babyface this first time around? Like it seems like it should have went better for him than it ended up going. I liked the segment on the whole, except for the fact that once again, no one is bringing attention to the fact that MJF had to cheat to win that match. There should have been 3 guys basically calling him out. That like you're sitting here, giving yourself all these kudos for that tremendous title defense, but you had to cheat to win it, Max.
I'm gonna push back a little bit here, not on that point, but I was highly critical of this last night on my show.
Okay,
the Dynamite show. Pardon me. I will agree. I liked the pillars, the concept of the pillars, and I did like Sammy. I thought Sammy did the best of everybody. I'm gonna say I thought Darby Allin had great delivery. My problem was, and this is even before Dave gave his take, and there's recordings to prove it, patreon.com/fightgamemedia. I hated the fourth wall breaking. I hated the meta commentary from all these guys. This wasn't in character. This was talking about things that were outside of character, which I didn't like. I didn't like, I had to be on Rampage and Dark after my title match. Just absolutely burying that. I hated bringing up that Sammy gets in fights backstage with certain talents. I didn't like Darby bringing up the whining from other wrestlers on Twitter. It felt.
You know what the biggest problem with all that stuff is with me too? Okay. Is that every time you're talking about that, every second devoted to this fourth wall breakery is a way to avoid doing the harder and more important work of connecting this into your kayfabe universe.
Yes. And that's my point. Yeah.
Those 3 guys should have been out there basically saying, you think you're this living legend, Max, but like you haven't actually proven anything to this point.
Yeah. Or even making their case to be a pillar of this company. Or, the part of Sammy that was weak was I was put in the JAS to be Chris Jericho's bump guy and to do all the jobs.
That was so weird. No, okay. You're definitely talking me back into the room with all of that stuff. Like there was a ton of this meta crap. It wasn't, now that I'm like thinking, it's not like any one item, right?
And it's not just that segment, because the Outcast did it later that night.
And it's a way of avoiding making a real kayfabe universe. That's my biggest grievance. Beyond the fact that like Sammy Guevara, the wrestling character, saying I'm Chris Jericho's bump guy makes literally no sense for that character. What is a bump guy?
Yes.
In the wrestling world.
Exactly.
Like in the kayfabe universe. I know what a bump guy is.
It's message board Tony.
Yeah.
Being message board Tony here. And yeah, it's everybody really knows that this is fake, and everybody is really interested in the backstage gossip of all these shows. And I'm here to tell you that's not necessarily true. If you're listening to this podcast,
you're in the universe.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, you're interested in that kind of stuff. But really, when you watch the television, exactly, Chris, you want to get lost in the universe and the characters, and you wouldn't have, any other TV show where actually, there might be a couple of examples. I don't want to get jumped of people just breaking that wall going, you're a lousy actor.
Oh, it'd be so
and
weird
you're overpaid.
Though. Like you're watching like the new episode of Star Trek, and someone's like, you're going to be written off at the end of the season.
Like, you know why? Because of your attitude problems.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't really mesh well with the rest of the cast.
Holding up the producers for money isn't a smart move, Lieutenant Uhura. Whatever you want to do. I'm sorry, Jordy, that your reading rainbow obligations are cutting into your ability to make
all right.
set.
Worf, there are other Klingons in this universe. I can find someone else to be chief security officer.
You see what we did to Tasha Yar? You're next.
Did it to Crusher for a season 2.
She's no longer in the territory. Now I want that show.
But like, if you think about wrestling as a television show,
Yes.
this is when these moments become really obvious. If you think about wrestling as a unique form of art unto itself that is akin to nothing before or after it, then this might be okay to you.
Yeah, and I think that there's a certain segment of smarky fan that loves this stuff and thinks
No,
it's cool.
and I being, sort of derisive in my tone, but I legitimately believe that there is like a certain subset of fan who really does view wrestling as this like art form on an island. It's not anything like theater. It's not anything like television. It's somewhat like stunt work, but also different. And therefore grading it by any of those metrics isn't quite right. Even grading it like a combat sport's not quite right. Like it's at once none of those things. And thus it's like this unique animal. And I don't view it that way. I view it as essentially a television show about a sports league with, scripted outcomes.
And for me, at least, I'll give one good thing and one other negative thing about this segment. The good, look, I dug the respect for Judaism here. I did. They treated it with reverence. They didn't treat it. They're
Interesting. I went the other way. I was like, are they making Judaism heel, especially with MJF's like, we're the best religion comment?
Well, I mean, that comment was heelish, but at the same time, I mean, we live in a world where some characters are Satanists. Why not have some people who do Judaism and feel strongly about it? The big negative, and I'll give a shout out to Kevin Ely of the Boom over on Fight Game Media, who is a fan of Shake Them Ropes and listens to us as well. As he reminded me that I did not bring this up in my negativity from last night. Chris, that entire segment revolved around Chekhov's cake. And they missed the shot where he went through the cake. How is that possible in a professional wrestling, a highly trained media organization?
They didn't even do a good job with the establishing shot when he was out through the ropes and on the apron. Like, they got none of the key moment in that segment.
Bill Watts is rolling in his grave, and he's still alive. So, yeah, it's like everything revolved around. It was a Memphis type of thing where it's like, yes, at the end, the heel is going to end up in the cake. Everybody knows the heel is going to end up in the cake. There's not a person alive who didn't think MJF wasn't going through that cake. And yet, they still missed the shot. I don't get it.
I'm also a little confused why everyone didn't immediately target MJF. Like, all three of those guys came to the ring.
Yeah, Sammy decided he was going to take it out on Jungle Boy.
Right. Like, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Dude, you went out there to talk crap to Max.
And you did. And like, then he cut you off. And like, I mean, if anything, yeah, I thought that was a dumb thing. Like, in the same way that Sammy promo, I guess, sort of missed the mark where he needed to do a redirect and remind everybody that he was a heel.
Yeah.
Like, all you Canadian dumbasses. That felt to me
it's like, ooh, I got this sick burn on Max, but now I need you to turn heel on me again so you don't start cheering me. You dumb Canadians.
Yeah. Like, it just, some of it, like, the concept is good. The concept of the four pillars finally squaring off in the ring and Max
liked. Yeah.
Max having to see it the road ahead eventually was going to involve encounters with all of these guys. I liked that. It's, yes, in the line by line of the dialogue, you really convinced me to take a second look at this, and I kind of like increasingly dislike the actual dialogue that they had.
Well, let's then now turn to the other company. I will go on this one, and it looks like we now have a clear delineation of where the Bloodline story is going. It is going where we always thought it was going to go. Jey Uso comes out, super kicks Sammy, and then comes out on it was Friday night and gives his "This is why I did it" speech. And I thought Jey Uso did a fantastic job on this speech because it wasn't necessarily the material that was great about it. There was a certain weird desperation in Jey Uso as he's giving the explanation that this is my brother, this is my family.
He was uncomfortable. Yeah, he was uncomfortable.
This is you know what this is? This is the "I'm in too deep and I can't be redeemed" speech. Whereas Sammy was riding with the bad guys and then felt bad and now wants to be a good guy, and he's going to have to redeem himself by getting killed, so to speak. Jay's the guy who goes, Jay's the guy who had the chance to leave and is in too deep and can't now. And he knows it, I think. Yeah, I'm reading a little bit into it, but listen to his voice and how it cracks when he's saying,
"Oh no,
my blood." I loved this.
This opening line of like when his answer was him just saying to the audience, "What would you do?" It's
a little bit.
He's not comfortable with the choice. It's just he felt like he had no choices.
Have you ever seen the movie version of Jesus Christ Superstar?
I have not.
That's a random thing. A guy by the name of Carl Anderson, not the wrestler, plays Judas, and this is the same kind of energy he gives in the performance. Is what would you do, huh? I was told to do this kind of stuff. That kind of, it's that kind of thing. It's this. God, I would love to tear this all down myself, but I'm scared. And now I'm a part of it, and there's nothing I can do about it. I love this kind of frantic energy. I hope they keep this up with him, as opposed to, I hope there's a moment in this tag match that they're eventually going to build where Jay's just like, God, I'm sorry about this.
Sammy needs to keep messing with his head in the intervening weeks to WrestleMania here. Sammy needs to just keep twisting the knife in his brain over this stuff. He needs to be more. I think that Jey Uso throughout this entire program, like ever since Sami Zayn's edition, has just been really kind of a revelation in terms of character acting.
Yeah.
From the hating Sami stuff to the defending Sami Zayn during the tribal court segment to the betrayal stuff to even this. He's always, for wrestling, grading on the curve of wrestling, like nearly note perfect with what they need out of him in any given performance.
Yeah, I mean, for wrestling, it's really good.
For wrestling, wrestling, yeah.
I mean, and it's funny because it's like I don't need any of this high art Shakespeare in my wrestling type of stuff. It's like, dude, but you need the story, you need the angle, you need the heat. It can't just be your. Well, I know a lot of people love that.
You're not. Everyone lies to themselves in thinking that they want to see the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in a vacuum. Yes. You want to see the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in the context of this storyline
after a build. Yes, and I don't understand people who say they don't need the build. I don't need the promos. I just need the match. I just need the high spots and all that other stuff. I don't get it personally.
I just think that really misunderstands what this type of television show, this type of product is centered around. It's big matches in the context of stories that are compelling. Otherwise, you don't have that.
Just while we're on the topic, what did you think of Cody?
He works. I mean, I think he makes for an interesting future babyface champion, but I'd be lying if I said that Cody Rhodes did it for me. I think he's okay.
That's
I think he's
fair.
Okay.
I think he's killing it. I mean, is he the best babyface I've ever seen? No. But for the job he's doing for WrestleMania, for the build, that's what you need. That's the guy. I believe he's going to beat Roman.
I believe he's going to beat Roman too. Yeah, no.
In terms of how he's presenting himself, I believe it. I believe him, and I believe that it is his goal.
I don't know that I'm still in love with the choice of inserting Cody Rhodes into the storyline this late. His story feels like the weakest part of this storyline.
It is, and it's weird that he's going to be the guy to bridge the gap.
Yep.
That's what's a little like it's not necessarily KO and Sammy reconciling. It's almost a cynical, hey, I need you two to take care of the Usos so I can go take care of Roman type thing.
Right. Like, you guys have to work it out so that you can run interference for me.
Yes. It's very self-serving.
Yeah, no.
Although it goes against stupid babyface rules. He's actually a smart babyface trying to get some backup so that he doesn't have to deal with all the other players.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I'm still very much wait and see with Cody. I haven't like checked out on his program or anything like that in the slightest, but like, he hasn't talked me all the way into the room yet either.
You're up next.
Okay. Man. Santos Escobar and Legado del Fantasma have been just stuck in this death roll defending Rey Mysterio. This is horrible. Santos, in theory, as a babyface, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a stupid way to execute a babyface turn for Santos Escobar, where him and his friends are basically just like goobers now, like Rey's goobers. And like Rey, for his part, I think we're just very past the "I will never hit my son" sort of thing. Like it's gotten tired, and it makes him look particularly bad when he won't do it when other people are stepping up to defend him, and he won't even like lift a finger for that.
I think they're. I mean, and this is my personal taste, but if they are setting up what everybody's talking about, which is an angle at the Hall of Fame ceremony where Dominic beats up Conan to then get Rey so angry that he will hit Dominic. This is bad for a number of reasons. Number one, I don't think the Hall of Fame should be the place where you do an angle. I just don't. I do. Look, does the Hall of Fame mean a whole lot? No. But is there a certain reverence there? To me, I think there should be. Oh, by the way, Muda going in this year. That'll be interesting since he never stepped foot in a WWF ring. That said, I would also cheer him beating up Conan because I can't stand Conan. He's not going to get sympathy from me for beating up Conan, who is one of the most obnoxious wrestling personalities on Twitter and in podcasting. That'll turn him babyface for me.
Yeah.
Now, if he attacked his mom, then I could see Rey getting mad. Because look, if you've ever even sassed your mother in front of your father, you know, dad stepping in there real quick. So I think mom would be the emotional fulcrum here, not Conan of all people.
Then we also got the announcement that Ric Flair is going to be back on WWE television this week.
Oh, on the bump? Well, that's to announce Muda, I think.
Oh, is that to announce Muda?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought we were maybe trying to find a way to.
I think he did announce Muda. I'm not sure, but yeah. Oh God, if he gets involved in this Charlotte story, God help us.
Right. I think it. I mean, him getting slid onto the bump is the start of him getting back onto WWE television.
Hey, and Triple H likes Rick. Vince likes Rick. Come on, it's Ric Flair. Bring him in.
Yep.
I'm gonna go silly real quick because this is just a short one, and I sent you this clip. Chick Donovan. Donovan is 75 years old, still on Swole Patrol.
Oh my God. Weirdly mobile, like
weirdly mobile, and won a cage match without entering a cage.
Like
that is better living through chemistry right there. That
oh man, dude, like that is it's an unnatural body
for those of you who don't know who Chick Donovan was. Chick Donovan, he kind of moved between upper enhancement talent / mid card, where he'd get a slight push in some territories, but he's been around since I think the early 80s, late 70s.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to say 79, 78, maybe.
Yeah, late 70s, I want to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was in Georgia, he was in Memphis, he was in I think he was in Crockett for a spell. Kind of
always a body guy.
Always a body guy, bleach blonde, out of a bottle. Kind of had a spike mullet. I would call it
Yeah, like the
kind of like Ricky Morton.
A little bit of the flare mullet too.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Like,
a little bit of that, but yeah, and he's still making towns and still winning belts at age 75. Seek it out on Twitter. It is amazing to see him at
it's
that age.
weird. It's captivating seeing this man look.
He looks like a football.
unnaturally-
He looks like a wrinkled football, but he still.
The definition on his physique is freaky,
Scary. That is just
legitimately,
scary.
yeah, unnerving.
Yeah. Your turn, sir.
No, that was a good one. That was a good one. Man, Brock and Omos is like maybe the worst program Brock has done yet.
Yeah, and I don't think he cares.
No, I don't think he cares either. But this match is this is going to be real bad. No, I mean,
I think Omos is going to win the match.
Brock's wearing the same thing every week. He really doesn't care.
Oh yeah, no. He's George Costanza in sweatpants at this, except it's a Canadian tuxedo that he's wearing.
Just comes out there like a Metallica reject every week, and does his little like semi goofy promo thing, and that's
F you pay me,
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, no, I agree. Let me wax poetic on the greatness of Jeff Jarrett from this week's Dynamite. That match, he was doing a whole lot of nothing, but it was all working for a while there. He would do a Fargo strut. He'd do a move. He'd wait a bit. He'd wait a little bit longer. He'd do another Fargo strut. He did another move. He waited. He teased a Fargo strut. He waved it off. He did his Shawn Michaels relaxing on the top turnbuckle move. And then, Chris, just the most magical part. He puts his hands in the air like Orange Cassidy. He sticks his hands in his trunks. And he starts doing the light kicks on Orange Cassidy and shouting the O's at the same time. I loved this match for Jeff Jarrett. I loved that he begged off the figure four to do a sharpshooter in Canada just to troll Canadians. I loved the Jay Lethal Hope spot.
This
with
is the most entertaining he's ever been, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like this,
because nobody's taking him seriously. Nobody is taking him seriously.
I know. I know. Like he shouldn't be presented at any other level than he's being presented at right now. But like, god damn, he's so fun.
Yes, and he's not doing much other than being a heel.
Yeah,
and it's great.
Yeah.
I want him on this Forbidden Door pay-per-view, Chris, and I want him against Tanahashi. And I think that match would kick ass.
Oh no, that's actually the perfect Tanahashi match, right? Because like Tana does not come over here and give us like 80% effort.
He doesn't give us Tokyo Dome.
No. We get like 65% effort Tanahashi.
Yeah.
And especially at this age with his wear and tear, Jeff Jarrett's the perfect 65% effort Tanahashi match.
I want Tanahashi playing air guitar. I want Jarrett playing real guitar.
Yeah. Oh boy. It'd be so great. And Tanahashi hits Jarrett with a real guitar.
Yes, and I want Satnam involved. I want the whole deal. I want the whole package.
Oh yeah. That's a great match.
Satnam doing the Fargo strut never fails to amuse me, by the way. That dude is huge. He's like 7'6", and he's strutting. And I laugh every time. I don't care that you people don't like Jeff Jarrett. You 20 and 30-somethings, Chris notwithstanding, you're wrong. Jeff Jarrett's awesome. Stop being a hater. You're up, Chris.
Good is good. You got to recognize when you see it.
Stupid millennials.
Yeah, no work ethic. God. Man, what do I even say about this Saraya, Tony Storm, and Ruby Soho segment? Like,
do you know what we do with dogs who piss on the lawn? What's the answer to that question, Chris? Because I think everybody knows the answer to that. You put them down.
Yeah, you shoot them. Yeah, I guess, unless it's your dog. If it's your dog,
no, you beat them up and you have matches, and you just what? That makes no sense. That's a Biff Tannen line. Is what? Why would you make like a tree and go away? This segment sucked.
This is so bad.
See, the weird thing is the matches were good this week, but any of the character development was just terrible for the most part, because I got another one that's coming up. But go on about this Outcast thing.
It continue to go like, what is the point of Soraya? Like, I don't get her character. I don't.
Betty girl.
Yeah, like it's as she came back after all this time off and like no fresh ideas whatsoever.
No,
none.
It's all, you know what? It's almost, and I don't want to accuse her of this because look, I think she wants to wrestle, and I think, but she never, when she was on the main roster, she stopped working. She knew what worked for her, and she just did it all the time. And this was a chance at a check because WWE wouldn't let her perform. And it's like, okay, I get to perform, but I haven't changed my game for this company. I'm the person that everybody knows from WWE. And I don't think that cuts it in AEW.
No, it doesn't. And it shouldn't. And like, especially for someone who's like, you know, I wanted to get back into the ring again. Surely, you know, like if you had like if I lost the ability to play guitar or whatever, right? And like, you know, for like 3 or 4 years, I couldn't do it for injuries or whatever, right? And I got back to playing guitar, I would have at some point during that intervening time thought about what I would play on guitar if I could play guitar again.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel when I watch her that she spent any time thinking about like what the Paige/Soraya character would be.
What am I going to do once I get the chance?
And you don't, I mean, okay, ring rust. Let's assume that'll shake off some point, maybe. That is like, it's no new vision for her match style. No vision at all for her promo.
No.
And, yeah. I just like,
it's shockingly lazy.
It's right. I bring it up just because it's notable to me how underwhelming she is as a talent right now.
Because if you compare that to somebody else, say an Edge or a Brian Danielson, they had a chip on their shoulder to get back in the ring. And once they did, it's like, look, Edge is the law of diminishing returns in many, many ways for me. I am not, that match against Orton during the pandemic period was dull to me. Yeah. And I find this version of Edge a little bit dull. Danielson, but they at least had the chips on their shoulder that they wanted to prove something to themselves that they could still go. I don't think that's true for her. And I hate to impugn her with that kind of reputation, but prove me wrong. I think, because this has just been lazy, and at least the pivot has kind of gone to Ruby now as the leader of that stable. I think that's a smart move. That is a smart move, and it's strange to say that it really does feel like Edge and Danielson have a lot more in the tank left than Soraya. I mean, I know her career is going to go a lot longer, but like, boy, I feel like we're near the bottom of the tank here with like what she has to offer in terms of like fresh stuff. I have nothing good to say about NXT this week. That was a lousy show. And furthermore, I mean, the only thing on even my rundown is, why is Candice a Mary Sue when she's been in War Games? Straight up. Why is Candice LeRae ducking from anybody? Especially during a home invasion where she has to protect her child. That was just dumb. I mean, I don't have any other notes for NXT other than this show sucked. I hated Gallus beating Pretty Deadly. I don't know what's going on there. I thought that was really stupid. Look, I'm not really sure that match needed to happen, but Pretty Deadly really only works if they have the belts.
like they should have the belts. And if they
Yes.
screwed Gallus out of the belts, like this is the classic heel team who are the champions but drop the belts often, but always find bullshit ways of getting the belts back.
They are tricksters and they are dandies simultaneously.
Right. And like so they're very beatable. They're bit of paper champions, but they have to have the belt in order for this thing to make sense. And weirdly, while they can eat a lot of losses when they have the belt, like losing the belt doesn't hurt pretty deadly. They cannot eat a lot of losses when they don't have the belts.
Yeah.
They're a team that needs to weirdly be protected when they're not champions. And then when they're champions, you can beat them whenever you want.
Chris, we had an all-time bad segment on AEW this week. The worst is still possibly Nyla and the hamburgers. Don't get me wrong. The stuff with Brandy and the former Karma was bad. Don't get me wrong. And I like QT Marshall overall. But this QTV segment where he's playing TMZ, why is Hobbs involved in this at all? Why is he anywhere near this dumb thing? Because you're repackaging Hobbs as your secondary champion. This is supposed to be giving him a serious finish.
You're going to put him with QT Marshall. You're going to put him with QT Marshall.
And you're going to put him with wackity schmackety guerrilla news video. Oh, look, we broke into a car. And so he's going to have Solo as a red shirt, which is fine because everybody should enjoy watching Aaron Solo get beat up. But dude, this is as bad as putting him with like Stoke. And it's all and these factions are all like this. There's the guy that's supposed to be serious, but it's all undercut by the comedy around him. Ethan Page was supposed to be serious. The Firm was supposed to be serious. And instead we get like Hardy and Private Party and Stokely around him. But now we have Hobbs and we have RJ City in the background, who is a comedy guy. And QT Marshall, who is also doing bad jokes and whatnot, and now on Twitter arguing with guys who say that the segments sucked. Vicky was a comedy manager. The Lawyer with Jade again. Now it looks like comedy manager. How is anybody going to take Hobbs seriously?
Every heel faction ultimately trends towards comedy.
Yes.
It seems in this company. And like, okay, not the House of Black. I'm sure someone's screaming that at their,
Are they heels? Because they're
Right.
about to go into a feud with JAS.
Right. So that's an interesting, fun question too, right? So like, especially all the lower tier heel stables.
They're the goth theater kids. That's what they are.
all the lower tier heel stables. I mean, I know we love Jarrett, Lethal, and Satnam Singh, but Sanjay Dutt, same thing.
They have
like
yes. But their thing is though they have a little bit of menace behind them with the guitar shots and stuff.
Right. No. I think they.
But
do
I think you're
better.
right overall. You're right overall.
Yeah, the formula is the same, like across the
Yes.
board with all of these teams, and it's a bad formula. Like it's a bad formula in the sense that like these heels don't even feel like they don't feel threatening.
No.
They feel as though they are minor obstacles.
Yes.
And
It's like
I
if they
think-
want a title, it's like, well, they're not going to do it for long because they're dopes. They're B villains. They're all B villains.
Yeah, like you wouldn't if the Firm somehow won a title, like a tag belt, you wouldn't expect them to hang on to it because they're like presented like they're too stupid to be capable.
And because I mentioned her, let's bring this back for a second. Nicole Matthews is far, far more of a wrestler than Taya Valkyrie. And Nicole Matthews got beaten in 13 seconds after finally getting her visa issues cleared up in the past week or so. She has been I don't know if you're familiar with her work, Chris, but she has been the stalwart kind of upper mid-card heel for women's wrestling from Shimmer on from like 2007 to like the mid-aughts. She is fantastic. And to do her like that, just to get to Taya Valkyrie, who, look, in the ring next to Jade, the size is impressive. Don't get me wrong. As a wrestler, I'm not high on.
She's never been anything. Yeah, no, she's never been anything as a wrestler.
You watch her in Lucha Underground. So
yeah,
you know more than
I've watched a lot of Taya Valkyrie.
Okay.
I've nenever been dazzled.
But yeah, I mean, but Jade has the same problem now that it looks like Mark Sterling's back in her life. It's
and Jade Cargill is quickly turning into the storyline that's just trapped in amber, right?
Yes.
There's just no development whatsoever in this thing.
It's a treadmill because we can't decide how to get off of it.
Right.
We don't know how to turn it off.
How do you go this many months and not have an off ramp for this Jade Cargill storyline ready at this point? They haven't even heated up a baby like.
There's no babyface hot enough to take her on.
No, they haven't even tried. So I imagine that the day she loses the title, it'll be to some babyface, and we're like, yep, and we're like, huh. That's weird. And yeah, maybe they do the jumpstart story where they're like, well, she's going to take advantage of this, complete fluke win over Jade Cargill, who nobody saw this coming.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be a 3-day build from Rampage to Dynamite or Dynamite to Battle of the Belts. It'll be Willow Nightingale probably. Ooh, and it's like, oh, well, here's her shot. And then they give her the title and they make a big deal of it for about an hour. And then you realize that Willow hasn't been built up as a character because she was part of this, for lack of a better term, band of geeks that came out during the Outcast segment. It was Sky Blue, Rio with a pipe, which is like, oh, look, Rio has a pipe. Isn't that adorable? And Willow in a onesie. And you're just like, okay, great. These are the red shirts. It's like bringing Madison Rain out there. I don't understand.
I just want stories on this show, Jeff. The matches are not bad.
Yeah. I just want builds. I want character development. I want promos. I want to know that people hate each other on this show. That's it. That's all I want. Oh, and we're getting another. Oh, that's what I missed in the news. We're getting another hour-long show on a Turner property, perhaps 6:05 on the Superstation for AEW Wrestling.
No.
And it's going to be more wrestling than anything. And it's like, okay. Yeah, I'm a little frustrated.
Okay. Here's my thing with this. If you're going to have yet another 1-hour wrestling show, then Rampage and this other 1-hour wrestling show need to be the shows where the wrestling largely occurs. And Dynamite needs to be landscape. It needs to be mostly about setting up the universe with a few, as in 3, key matches every week. An opener that is a no context opener, 3 storyline advancing matches, and a lot of talking and a lot of stage setting and a lot of narrative building. Like, that's what needs to happen there. And then you can do your ancillary satellite matches, these 9-man tags that they're obsessed with and that sort of thing. Do those on your wrestling programs. And now they've been properly built by Dynamite. I mean, this is also a stronger deployment of Dynamite. You want Dynamite to incentivize people to check out the 605 show or Rampage. How are you going to do that? Well, you're going to set up matches on Dynamite, and then people might want to tune in and catch the ending of that match or whatever that's been set up for on Dynamite. But if you're going to add another 1-hour property, and I question the wisdom of it, I really think that in order for that property to succeed and do well and not flounder, like Rampage, let's be real, has.
Or the 2 Darks even.
Or the 2 Darks. Oh, yeah, they're still on the air. Those shows, they need help, and Dynamite needs to be the sun that radiates onto the other planets.
It can't just be matches, and that's my big problem with the 2 Darks. Is it's just here's this match, 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 and that's it.
They need C storylines too. I mean, I think like
they'll do them occasionally, like but they drop them. Like the last really good storyline they had on one of the darks was when Brian Pillman Jr. lost. I think it was to Christopher Daniels. I can't remember who it was. And he came backstage, and there's Brock and Arn Anderson, and they form an alliance, and nobody's heard anything from them since. And that was 2 months ago. So don't give me this long-term storytelling crap. They're drop storylines that people all of a sudden remember to pick back up.
Dropped or they get frozen.
Yes.
And frozen storytelling's bad storytelling.
I agree. Because you got to actually tell the story.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have anything
be on
else
chapter 17 for no. I don't have a lot else either. I mean, we're taping before SmackDown this week. So we don't have that to talk about here. Once again, like, what is the characterization on the Elite? Like, what are they as characters? Even the House of Black.
I believe they've just kind of shuffled everything. I think they've now, in that match within it, I think they've now turned the House of Black babyface because they're going to go up against the JAS. Unless they've turned the JAS babyface, I don't think that happened. And look, I thought the final shot was clever. The whole thing, because actually that's something I need to bring up. This is the week that the Blackpool Combat Club were officially heels. Yes, and they did it through dirtbag Wheeler Yuta, which was amazing. Wheeler Yuta was amazing in that match against the Dark Order. And I love Stu being back too. He's great. I was happy that they did a show in Canada and they brought back the Super Smash Bros. They're great. But Wheeler Yuta using a ring bell, Wheeler Yuta pulling guys off the apron, just being an absolute dirtbag. This is the first that the Blackpool Combat Club has been Cobra Kai from the original Karate Kid ever, because Moxley was all in too instead of being a lone wolf. I dug this, and the staging where they come out at the end and they're facing Hangman and the Elite's backing up Hangman and Hangman doesn't know. It was clever. But we're going to have 2 more months of this.
Yep.
And we're going to get longing looks from the Jackson brothers. And people are going to tell me it's just as good as the Usos. And I don't think it is.
No. And it won't be. And here's why. Like, those 3 guys will operate as one character. The Elite, Kenny, Matt, and Nick will all functionally be the same interchangeable one individual in triplicate.
Yeah.
And that's why it won't be super compelling.
And they'll all make it up.
And hamming. And oh, by the way, can I mention that, like, yes, they are... Again, we always calibrate acting for wrestling, but even within the confines of wrestling, the Jacksons and Omega are nothing if not hams.
Yes.
They don't know how to do subtle.
Yeah.
And they also, in my opinion, don't really know how to do unironic. Like, everything. That's
the problem. It's going to be an ironic thing, and you're just like, okay. Great.
Like the ironic tear-soaked reunion. It just has very little intrigue to me.
There's going to be a close-up of one of the Jackson's face with a tear running down his cheek. And people are going to want that in the Criterion collection.
No, here's the thing. And they're going to feel this need to reference a movie or something. Like, just like, like they're going to need to, like, do the reunion scene like, I don't know, something from Saving Private Ryan or some crap.
Or they're going to do the what is it? The Aquarius Let the Sunshine In dance number from, was it 40-Year-Old Virgin? Where they're in the field dancing and stuff. Yeah, there's going to be something. And you're just going to go, oh, God. And everybody's going to go, oh, that was brilliant.
Oh, it was so funny. Just like, remember when MJF and Chris Jericho did the singing musical number, and that really established MJF as a great heel.
Yeah. Let's cut it off there. You can follow me at CrapGame13 on Twitter. You can follow the show at Shake Them Ropes. I am also, as I said, on the Dynamite Show on Fight Game Media, patreon.com/Fight Game Media, $5 a month. Lots of shows, mostly concentrating on stateside wrestling, but we are part of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Gosh, the number of podcasts that are on this network now, and you get to hear promos from them at the beginning and is boundless and endless. and whatever your wrestling love is, there is a show for you. Chris, as he says, is playing guitar now. He does lessons. He has an Instagram, but not a Twitter. He used to have a political podcast. He's going to tell you about all of that right now.
Yeah, I think the political is on a hiatus. I mean, like I've been kicking around bringing it back. It's time constraints. If me doing a show is something that's interested to you on politics or whatever, and you want me to do it again, and you want to help out, hit me up. I basically know that I can't do it on my own the way I had been doing it. So if I had help, I would certainly like to get some episodes out again at some point. But
you know what we don't have enough podcasts about, Chris? Weed.
I don't, it's like, I don't know
you
how
know
much
stuff about that.
I do know stuff about that.
Yes.
I work for Dynamic Jack now as a personal, or I'm confused. I'm a salesman. I'm a sales representative, but we have some internal term for it that is lengthy. And I also will be playing at the Electric Cafe here. First show is on March 31st out here in Albuquerque. If you are in town, want to come see me do my thing at the first legal cannabis consumption lounge in the city, Jeffrey. That is right, Jeff. It is a place where you could come and see Chris Donovan play music and also smoke weed. Some say that if you smoke enough weed, my voice is less pitchy and thus more tolerable.
It's like the 2-drink minimum at a comedy club.
Yeah, no. This makes the solos. This makes you really open-minded to the 5-minute guitar solo, and means I'll sing less, which is everyone's winning. And come out, smoke some weed. It will be on Fried Chicken Friday. So if that intrigues you, did I mention that the fried chicken's also infused with weed?
What?
Yeah. This is an infused kitchen too.
You're gonna have 400-pound people.
No, they'll be asleep before they ever get that heavy.
DOCTOR_NOV on the Instagram for Chris. For Shake Them Ropes. I am Jeff Hawkins. He is Chris Donovan. Bruno, we will talk to you next week.
Smoke up.
Get ready, because Scott's is taking over Daylight Saving Time. It's such a big event that we're calling it Day-Long Saving Time. And now it's got real savings. In fact, it's the biggest deals of the year. Audacious? Absolutely. So don't wait. Stock up early and you'll be able to save up to $20 on Scott's Triple Action and Easy Seed products today at the Home Depot and Lowe's. Offers available March 9th through 22nd at select U.S. stores while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See store for exact offers.
Music. It's not just part of our daily lives, it's part of our wrestling fandom as well, and it has been for decades. That's where this show comes in. Music of the Mat, the podcast devoted exclusively to the music of pro wrestling, hosted by Andrew Rich. Hey, that's me. Each episode delivers a different topic with a variety of great guests, fun conversations, musical analysis, and of course, a heartfelt pun or two. New episodes drop every other Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice. Check out Music of the Mat only on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Do you love wrestling? Do you love All Elite Wrestling? Make sure you check out The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. My name is Tyler Fornes, and my co-host Fred Moreland and I discuss all the happenings of All Elite Wrestling across the universe, including when they make trips overseas. We talk about Dark, we talk about Rampage, we talk about Dynamite, and everything in between, including Tony Khan and his both brilliant and confusing booking. Make sure you check us out. We drop our shows on Thursdays to make sure that we keep up with Dynamite and make sure we give you all the current happenings in All Elite Wrestling.